Hello, welcome to Rants of a Naija Chic. Today I'm doing the final review of the series You, so episode 5. If you've not seen my review for episodes 1 through 4, it's going to be in the description, so definitely check that out and make sure that you're subscribed while you're there, okay? Now let's get into it, because this episode 5 was giving everything. So episode 4 ended with Joe running into Kate's room and seeing Gemma's dead body on the floor and Kate over the dead body. So episode 5 opens up with that scene. Kate is telling Joe, I don't know why I grabbed this. She drops the knife. Basically, Kate is like, she came and saw the body there. She's not the one who killed her. So Joe's inner monologue is like going, are you the one? Did you plan all this? Are you just trying to rope me into all this? But Joe decides to help dispose of the body. Then it cuts to road. He's outside kind of like watching, and a servant is passing by and asks him if he needs anything, and he goes, oh, have you seen Mr. Jonathan Moore after dinner? He's like, no, he didn't see him. And he's like, okay, if you see him, make sure you tell me, make sure you direct him to me before he rejoins the group. Then he gets back to Joe and Kate trying to figure out how to dispose of Gemma's body. As they're trying to do that, meanwhile, Joe is still thinking that Kate killed Gemma and is trying to get him to help her for some sort of reason. As they're trying to figure that out, Phoebe knocks, so immediately they rush and they're trying to like roll out the bloodied carpet out of the way and just stand and wait for Phoebe. Phoebe comes in and is reporting Adam to them, that she saw Adam in last episode. She had seen Adam with a male servant. She's kind of guessing that Adam's heart is not with her and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, these people are trying to dispose of a body, so they do not want Phoebe there. Immediately Joe agrees. Inside he's like, sorry, Adam agrees, yes, that his heart is not with you. And the girl is like, okay, what do you know? Out with it. And Joe goes, Adam has a kink. Remember in episode 2, he had actually caught Adam with his secret that I did not divulge, and I asked you all to go and watch for yourselves. So Phoebe is trying to press Joe to tell her what it is, and they want to dispose the body. So immediately Kate just tells her, Phoebe, I love you very much, but you gotta go so that Joe and I can have sex. And she's like, oh really? Phoebe is very what's the word for her, scatterbrained in a way, almost like some rich people are portrayed on television to be. So she's like, okay, and she leaves. And then they continue with their plan of disposing the body. The box they try to put Gemma in, as they try to lift it up, it kind of breaks, so they're now wondering what next. Joe now remembers, oh, Roald pushed me out of the window, so that's what he does to Gemma's body. In fact, as they push the body out, it shows them the guys parting, the other group of friends parting, and something falls, but of course they're not looking that way, so they don't see it. So now they head out to the place they wanted to put her body amongst the remains of animals from hunt. I mean, it's a huge house, so rich people, they have all those kind of rooms like that, where when they bring in the hunt game, like animals that they've hunted, they'll like kind of break it down, they like cut it, butcher it basically. So that's where they take Gemma's body to. Just as I sorting that out, Kate carries a knife and then goes to Joe's throat, pushes him back like at the wall, like, why are you so good at this? Why are you so good at this? Are you the one who killed her? Da, 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 da. So Joe is kind of forced at that point to come out and tell Kate that this is what happened, that he feels that someone is trying to frame her, that the same thing happened to him. Now tells her that Malcolm, he actually woke up to see Malcolm's dead body and he had to take care of it. And in a very surprising move, Joe actually tells Kate about his past. He didn't really go into details like the fact that the wife is dead and he's the one who killed the wife, but just said a lot of things has happened and it ended up costing me my son. And Kate is like, what's your son's name? And he's like, I would rather not say, I just came out here to have a fresh start. For some weird reason, Kate believes him, so he's like, okay, Joe is the good guy. So Kate is now like, so you really were trying to protect me? He was like, yes, I wanted to stick around in the group and see if I can help from other people not getting hurt. So they further bonded on that shared story and they continue disposing of the body. Meanwhile, over at the house, Phoebe goes to meet Adam to talk about this kink she has heard that he has. And the girl doesn't even have any tact. She just goes out straight and says, Joe tells me you have a kink. And Adam is like, how would Joe have known? Remember, Joe was eavesdropping on him. But anyways, they move on. It's like, what's the king? Tell me. So she literally starts listing things out. As she's mentioning things, as she gets to his king, which is, how do I put this delicately for YouTube without calling? Okay, you know when you're peeing and then you want someone to pee on you? That was Adam's king. So Phoebe's like, okay, whatever, that's fine. She's gonna do it. Lie down on the floor, darling, and stuff like that. And the guy lies down and is getting ready and stuff like that. And as she stands over him to try to do the act, she notices his face and it's like, you don't want this. She steps away. And the guy is now trying to explain, no, I want it. She's like, but there's something in your face, you don't want this. So the guy now explains that it doesn't work with you. She's like, why? We're supposed to get married, you know, stuff like that. He's like, it doesn't work if the person is not beneath me in real life. Apparently that's just what works for him. I'm not even going to explain that. But what the girl got from that was like, so you feel that you are beneath me, that we're not equals. And then Phoebe goes on ahead to probably have the most serious conversation I've seen her have in this series, and then tells him that this relationship cannot work if you do not think we're equals. And you know, he's trying to break up with Adam. And you know that Adam is broke. Adam is actually banking on marrying Phoebe so that he can have access to her money, because Phoebe is actually a lady, she's rich. But anyways, Phoebe goes on ahead and breaks up with Adam, and Adam is livid. Adam now moves to one of the drawing rooms they were at, and what's his name, Rold, was there. So he's like, give me the strongest thing to drink, and then I'm going to go and kill one snitch called Jonathan Moore. And Rold is like, finally you come around to it. I mean, Rold doesn't even like Jonathan to begin with. As they're uniting in their shared hate for Jonathan Moore, that is Joe, in walks the servant to inform Rold that Joe has been seen going outside. And Rold goes, so that means Kate is alone right now. Adam is now gingering him, go and get your girl, go and get your girl, stuff like that. Now, over at Kate and Joe's disposing of Gemma's body, they were actually about to leave, and then Kate realizes she can't find her bracelet. So she's like, what if we eat in the ladder with the body? So Joe now says, okay, carry the cleaning supplies to go and clean her room, that he would go back into the body where they've put it and try to find the bracelets. So Kate now goes up to her room. As she goes to her room, she realizes the door is open. Lo and behold, who is there? Phoebe had entered the room and she has seen the blood. Kate now has no other choice than to tell Phoebe what happened. Phoebe was kind of like high, so she wasn't even like grieving her friend. She was just like, I'm so glad it's not you. I mean, you know, Gemma used to run over the seven, something like that. And then she now apologizes to Kate. It's not like I'm not gutted, but that she took something to deal with the news of her breaking up with Adam. So then they decide that they're going to let Kate's security from her dad know what's happening, that they won't say that Gemma is dead, but they'll just say Gemma is missing, just kind of like to get the security to protect them even closely. And they were like, okay, let's go and do that. And outside, guess who was listening into them talking about the fact that Gemma is dead? I think he didn't even hear the full story, but Rold was listening in. Apparently, he had gone up to go and speak with Kate. So Rold now heads to that game room where Joe is hands in inside Gemma's body trying to find Kate's bracelet for her, and point a gun at him. And I think the parts he heard was the fact that Gemma is dead, and I think he didn't hear the full story, or maybe he did and he just decided, I'm going to frame Joe. So he points the gun at Joe, brings him to the group at large. Who is left now in the group is Sophie, Simon's sister, Blessing Abosede, Con, one of the guy in their friend group who is basically always high. So that's the people he's bringing them to. And of course, Adam. Phoebe and Kate are still looking for the security to, you know, discuss stuff with the security. He kind of puts Adam there and like, this is the Eat the Rich killer. Basically just coins his whole version of events to them. And he's like, I'm going to kill him here. My uncle is a judge, a Supreme Court judge. I'm sure they will understand if I kill him because he's the Eat the Rich killer. Joe is trying to defend himself. Of course, they're having none of it. And nobody's even getting up to help him. Matter of fact, at a certain point of one of them, Con, the other guy, he started snoring, he started sleeping. Adam is pissed off at Joe because Joe has put Sansan in his garage as concerns Phoebe. So Adam rushes and punches Joe. They fight a little bit and Joe punches Adam. Adam falls back and doesn't move again, and immediately Joe starts running because, I mean, Road still has a gun pointed at him. And Road tells the other ones time to go peasant hunting. Like he's literally going to hunt Joe through the woods as he runs. Kate and Phoebe finally comes back to where everybody is, sees Adam still knocked out on the floor, Con is sleeping, Blessing and Sophie are kind of armed with a sword and a shield, and they're still kind of high. So they're like, what exactly is going on? Where is Joe? Where is Rhoda? And Sophie them go, Joe is the rich killer. And it's like, what happened? They now tell them the version of events that Rhoda told them. So immediately Kate turns to the security, go and find Joe before Rhoda hurts him. Cut to the woods. Joe is still running. He hides behind a tree. Rhoda comes around the general area he is and is just taunting him, stuff like that. Joe kind of goes behind Rhoda and hits him on the head with something, and they kind of start tussling. Eventually, Joe gets the better of him and hits him. He kind of passes out, and Joe is just lying back, catching his breath and stuff like that. As he's doing that, someone just walks into the frame, and lo and behold, guess who that was? Reese, that their friend in the friend group that is an author that was not on Joe's radar at all. He just hits Joe with the gun that Rhoda was pointing at him and says, hello Joe, something like that, and hits him in the head too. He passes out. Now it is important to note that this Reese, even though he's part of their group, he did not start out that way. He started out in foster homes and in things like that because he didn't know his dad. Later on in his life, it now turned out that his dad was a duke. So he now was introduced into the rich kid life. So his life wasn't exactly pretty from the get-go. Anyways, Joe wakes up, he's chained in some sort of underground, and Reese is just waiting over him. Him and Rhoda are chained. And so when he wakes up, he looks at Reese and said, it was you all along. Reese has been the one who has been texting Jonathan, aka Joe. Reese was the one who killed Malcolm and tried to frame Joe. Reese was the one who killed Simon. Reese was the one who killed Gemma. Reese has been the one doing this all along and texting him and finding out who Joe was. Like, it has been Reese all along. And earlier on in the series, Joe had actually eliminated Reese as a potential suspect because Reese is actually trying to contest as mayor of London. So it was like, he can't be killing people up and down if he's trying to contest. I mean, those things always get out. So Reese tells Joe that his plan is to frame Rhoda, that Joe should kill Rhoda and he'll take care of framing Rhoda for all the killings. Joe on his part is acting like, okay, I agree with everything you said because Joe just wants to be free, even though inside he's like rebelling against everything that Reese is saying. Remember, Joe started out season 4 trying to finally be the good guy. Cut back to the house. Kate is waiting on security to bring back Joe. They do not come back, so Kate just tells the others, you know what, she's going to go out and look for them. Grabs an axe that one of the girls was holding and then walks outside to go and find Rhoda and Joe. After Joe had agreed with Reese that, okay, I'm going to kill Rhoda and then you're going to frame him, Reese actually walked out and Joe actually started to try to free himself from the chain. So now Reese walks into Joe trying to free himself, and he's like, you're not on board with what I'm doing. I should have known right from the start after you killed that security, that bodyguard, and you said exhilarating. What kind of word was that? Anyway, since you're not on board, if you manage to free yourself from here, meet me up in London. And then he sets fire to the place. Fire starts burning. Joe is really now trying to free himself for the chain. Finally, Rhoda wakes up from his own unconsciousness and says, what's going on? How did you bring me here? Then he realizes, oh, Joe himself is chained also. Joe is still, he doesn't even have time to talk. He's just trying to free himself. Finally, Joe frees himself and runs up to, there's one kind of grate that led up that he saw. He ran up to that grate. For a minute, I thought he was going to leave Rhoda. Let him burn for all we know. But then he was just looking at the crate and then he realizes it's too high. So he comes back, tries and frees Rhoda, and both of them together, they go to the crate. He lifts Rhoda up and they're trying to knock the crate and try and get out, but they don't succeed. All of a sudden, just as they're giving up, we hear like the crate opens and it's Kate. She had come out to look for them and she had an axe. So she opens it and lifts them up, and that's how they're free. The other friends inside the house, luckily for them, they smelled the smoke because the house actually started burning, so they ran outside. Once Kate freed Rhoda and Joe, they just stood outside and watching the house burn. Then everybody is back to London. Now, when they get to London, Joe is just seated in his apartment and just thinking over the events, like it's actually Reese that was blackmailing me / threatening me on that app. Now, I'm not sure. In fact, I'm sure now that Joe did not tell Kate and the others that the person who has actually been doing all this is Reese, someone who was in their friend group. But he's just sitting and and waiting in London because Reese has said, if you manage to free yourself, meet me in London. So he's just waiting, sitting and waiting for what's the next move now. Just as he's doing that, Kate comes to his door, tries to ask him out for a drink, and he's really like, he's not gonna come. Kate is like, it's just a drink. She's like, no, he's not gonna come. And in that moment, I kind of sense that whatever budding relationship was going to start with him and Kate, that's over. So Kate leaves. As Joe is closing his door to walk back to where he was seated, he sees Reese on the TV. So he turns up the volume. Now, Reese is using the whole Sundry house being burned down to the ground, Gemma being killed by the It's the Rich killer. He's using that whole publicity to announce his run for the mayor of London. So the inner monologue with Joe at that point is, Joe is like, wow, so this is what you're really doing. Joe is now planning to come for him. And that is where episode 5 ends. Honestly, that was a roller coaster. Like, for someone who loves this series, I really enjoyed watching that. But there's one thing that was quite obvious to me throughout this part 1 of season 4. Joe was on the defensive, not on the offensive. In other series, Joe is always the one killing people and setting things up and all that. So I suspect that in this part 2, Joe is going to go on the offensive, and Reese does not even know who he's playing with. He does not know who he's playing with. Joe is the original killer man. So part 2 is really going to be more explosive. Like, we're going to see Joe in his element. Part 2 of season 4 comes out on Netflix on March 9th, I believe. And I'm looking forward to watching and reviewing that. I mean, I've already started, so I might as well finish the job, right? Anyways, that is it from me today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you were even following through all these things. It was a labor of love. If I did not start it, I would not have completed it. But anyways, hope you enjoyed that. Do let me know in the comment section if you're going to give this series a try. And yeah, let's just talk about it. Remember to subscribe to this channel and check me out on Facebook at Rants of a Naija Chic. I am on Instagram with the same name as well. And I'll see you some other time. Bye.